You ever got the feeling you just paid double, triple what a local would pay? Yeah, so welcome to Africa, where foreigners have their own price lists. When you look at East Africa, they call this the Mzungu tax. And I know they've got another name for this in other parts of Africa. And trust me, I've paid too many times. I paid this Mzungu tax. And so here's 10 ways foreigners get overcharged in Africa and how to spot it before it happens to you. Yeah. So welcome back to the station. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Expat D, where we break down culture, travel, and the real side of living abroad. Now listen, I love Africa, but one thing I had to learn quick was how to avoid the foreigner price. So let me take you through 10 traps with real life stories. Okay, this is how you know I'm gonna say this is how you know you just got Mzungoed. Okay, so 10 ways foreigners get charged or overcharged in Africa. So number one, let's take a look at taxis. Okay, if the driver doesn't turn on the meter, okay, your wallet is already in danger. So the first time I landed, I asked for a ride. Okay, a ride from the taxi. Okay, the guy looked at me, he looked at my bag and said, whenever you get this look, okay, whenever you ask for a price and you get this, like they're thinking, like they're calculating in their head, that's how you know you're about to get Mzungu. Okay, the taxi driver said that'll be $50, and so I checked later, and the real price was only $7. Okay, you gotta be careful when you ride from the airport. Okay, so welcome the taxi hustle. Welcome to the taxi hustle. You'll see it in plenty of airports, but definitely in Africa. Okay, so the pro tip, use Uber or Bolt, depending on what they have in that culture, that country, or negotiate before you get in. But if you get in first, and the worst thing to do is if you get in first and you don't talk about price at all, oh, they're gonna hit you. They're gonna hit you. They're gonna hit you with the okie doke. Mm-hmm. Okay, number two, when you go to a souvenir shop or a market, okay, that giraffe carving, it's not worth your rent money. Okay, so you walk into the market, you point at a wooden giraffe, and the seller says, for you, my friend, whenever they hit you with my friend or my brother, you about to get Mzungu. You about to get Mzungu. Okay, for you, $100, bro. Okay, this was carved yesterday. This is they'll tell you, with a pocket knife. Okay, the locals pay $10. This is how much they pay for that giraffe. $10, maybe even less. Okay, but the trick here is you got to bargain. Okay, if you don't, congratulations, you just bought the most expensive giraffe in Africa, at least a giraffe carving. I'm sure if you get a real giraffe, it's not going to cost $100. Or is it? Mm-hmm. Now let's look at the local restaurants. Now, if the menu has no prices, oh my goodness. If the menu has no prices, you're already cooked. Okay, sometimes there's a menu for locals and a menu for you. And if there's no menu at all, they'll just make up a number. Okay, when the bill comes, a $2 plate will suddenly become $15. Okay, so if they do not have a menu, you about to get Mzungu. Okay, a $2 plate will suddenly become $15. The rule is ask the price before you order or get ready for the foreigner bill. That's right. Number four, looking at a tourist attraction. Oh, you want to go to Africa? You got to go to safari. You got to go to a safari. So if you're a foreigner, that elephant just got more expensive. The national parks, safaris, even museums, foreigners pay sometimes 5 or 10 times the local rate. Sometimes it's official. Sometimes it's just the cashier making up numbers in their head. Literally, just making up numbers in their head. Okay, you're not just paying to see the animals. You're paying for the accent. Okay. As soon as they hear that accent, that price is going to go up. Got to be careful. All right, number 5. Oh my goodness. When you try to rent a house. Oh, when you try to rent a house, you're about to get Mzunga. So if the landlord hears your accent, your rent just doubled, just like that. Okay, trying to rent an apartment or an Airbnb. Oh, they see a dollar sign. Okay, a place that rents to locals for $300 a month will suddenly become $900 because you're American. And the solution, well, before we get to the solution, let me tell you a quick story. So this is years ago. We're talking 2003. I remember, no, 2004. It was either 2004 or 2005. Okay. So I had, this is my second time going to Ghana. So I went to Ghana the very first time. I loved it, man. It was so much fun. It was like a house party, block party every day, right? So when I got to America, all I was thinking about was, oh, I got to get back to Ghana. Oh, I got to get back to Ghana, right? So when I finally got back, I just went there and I said, well, I'll just figure it out, how to stay long. So the funny thing was this. Well, I'm gonna really tell you a story. So I had got a book, and the book, it was like one of those, I forget, it was like one of these, I think Lonely Planet, I think. They had this book on cheap hotels in Africa. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, I like some of the cheap hotels were only like, the cheap ones were like under $5. You can get a hotel. So I was thinking, yeah, man, I can get a hotel. Like if it's like, it was between like $5 and $7. And I'm like, okay, if I get that, and pay that per the month, that's cheap, right? I could just stay in a hotel. And there's this one day I ended up staying out late partying. And it's crazy because I end up having to get a hotel room and I end up getting flooded in the hotel. And my passport, everything got wet. Despite that part of a bad experience, the room was relatively, when I went, it was relatively quiet. It was just like a basic room. It's like a dorm room. So I said, okay, maybe I can do this. So I took the book and I started researching, right? Okay, maybe I'll try this hotel. Because the reviews weren't bad. Like none of the reviews were I don't know what it was about this book. There was no negative review. They would just write and say, yeah, it's quaint. It's quaint room, humble. And I was thinking like, okay. So I said, well, let me visit one of these rooms. So I went in. And first of all, when I walked into the hotel room, the lobby, all the lights were out. And the person that's supposed to be working the front desk, they were just like lying on a mat, like lying on the floor on a blanket. And so they come in, hello, sir, hello. And I'm like, oh, am I disturbing something, right? So I said, yeah, I want to check out your rooms, right? So, before that, right? Before I get there, there's like two like working girls outside they were just fighting, like cat fighting outside. What? B, what? And I was just like, oh my God, right? I'm looking like, so they're like fighting outside. And then when I got in, all the lights were out. The guy was like sleeping. Then when we went to the actual hotel room, right? The keyhole was like this big. The keyhole. Like I literally could just like peek my eye in the keyhole. I was like, dang, I could just like spy in there. Then without opening the door, like without having a key, the door could open like this wide. Literally, like the door could open like this without a key and get like this much of a gap. Then I went in there. The floor was filthy. It was like this red carpet. It was filthy dirty. Oh, we can clean. Yeah, we can clean that. I'm thinking like, man, this is the apartment that the hotel you want me to see. So anyway, didn't get the hotel, right? Didn't get it, right? That's a no for me. That's a no. So I said, okay, let me start looking at different apartments because I was thinking about it and I was like, okay, at that apartment, I think they told me that was like that one was like even though the book said it was like around $5, when I went there, it was like $10 to $12. So I said, okay, if I got an apartment, that's like around $300. I'm like, I could do that in Africa, in like the early 2000s. It should be. So I ended up going looking for an apartment, and as soon as the guy saw me, he says $1,000. I said, what? $1,000? 1,000 what? He told me. He said it'd be 1,000. I said, U.S. dollars? 1,000? I said, dude, I didn't leave America to pay $1,000 a month in rent in West Africa. I was shocked. This is early 2000s. So I was shocked. I know that I know for a fact that they wasn't paying no $1,000 a month back then for where I was looking. But anyway, um, the solution to this is have a local ask a friend first how much the price should be for the area, and then have the local ask specifically how much that price should be for the apartment. Okay, that way you'll know the real rate. So even if you have to negotiate, you know that you're negotiating to the ballpark figure that it should be. Yeah, so that's my real life real life story right there. Number 6, street vendors. So if you didn't bargain, you didn't buy it right. Okay, if you're looking at street food, SIM cards, random snacks, if you're a foreigner, the price is whatever they feel that day. A bottle of water can cost 20 cents. Magically, it's $2. And don't even get me started on, souvenirs at the beach, right? Here's another one, a bonus one. Let's look at bonus one, getting a haircut. Okay, it's funny because I remember getting a haircut in East Africa and I didn't ask the price. There was no like sign of the price. And they literally he tried to charge me. And like I said, this is like early 2000s. They tried to charge me about $20 for a haircut. And keep in mind that's about what they were charging in the States at that time. This is about early 2000s. So you always have to, when you get a haircut, before you sit down, ask how much it costs. Because literally, I remember I figured this out. And this is so sad because I had met I overheard a tourist, and he was Black American. He was visiting, and they were trying to scare him, like the taxi drivers the taxi drivers were like, oh no, you can't go down there. It's so unsafe to walk. And this is like early 2000s Ethiopia. And I was like, dude, it's safe, right? It's like I walk like the whole city. Sometimes if I can't get a taxi, I just walk. Sometimes it takes so long to get a taxi. I just walk there. So I was like, no, man. I said, I kind of interrupted. I said, hey, man, like, what's going on? Because he was like trying to argue. They were like trying to charge him like a ridiculous price. And he was trying to find a barber shop. And I said, hey, man, so like, what are you trying to do? He's like, oh, I'm trying to get my hair cut. I said, oh, I'll take you to my barber. And I think we just walked there. We then walked there, we caught a taxi, and then they got all mad, like, don't get in the way of my business. And I'm thinking like, dude, like I don't want to see a fellow person get hustled. So anyway, I took him with me to the barber shop. I think I got my hair cut too. The guy charged me like $1. And then they literally tried to charge him like $15. And I was like, because he didn't ask the price first. They literally, even me being an American, I asked first. They charged me like $1. Literally, they tried to charge him 15. So that's one thing. When you get your hair cut, always ask the price first. They did a good job on the hair, by the way, but it literally, they charged him like literally 15 times the amount. Yeah. So now let's look at another one. Let's look at arts and craft galleries. So the art is real, but so is the hustle. Okay, let's say you see a painting. You like this painting. You want this painting. The artist suddenly thinks you're a millionaire. Okay, what they sell to the locals is probably $50 for a painting like this. They tell you it's $500 because it's handmade. Okay, handmade, my brother, handmade. So the artist, and they try to tell some story about the artist. He don't have no arms, or he don't have no feet, or something magical, something like that. He'll say, my brother, special price for you. Whenever it's a special price for you, you about to get Mzunga. Okay? They say, my brother, it's beautiful art. Yes, you know the local price range. Before you pull out the cash, you got to know it. Okay? Know the local price range, because they're about to try to times 50 the amount. But I'm not saying, keep this in mind, I'm not saying to not support local artists or not support local businesses. I'm just not a fan of paying 10 times the amount or 50 times the amount. I'm down to support the business, but let's be fair here. Let's not charge two different prices because you hear an accent. Okay, number 8, car rentals and drivers. So that per day rental is your whole vacation budget. Okay, foreigners often get hit with a ridiculous car rental price. So $100 a day for a Toyota Corolla that's older than you. and private drivers, okay, they'll happily charge you an entire month salary in 1 week. So if you don't know better, this will happen to you. So always compare prices or ask locals first. Because I'll tell you, this will be the breakdown if you go for a safari. What will happen is if you go for a safari, they'll say, yeah, we can take you to the safari, but you got to rent a car, you got to pay for the driver, you got to, pay, you have to pay for the entrance, and they want to do it all. Or you give me this, and they'll try to overcharge you for everything. They'll overcharge you for the ride. They want you to pay them directly, and then they'll pay for the safari entrance, and they'll probably 5x that price. So you got to know. You ask the local first, because they'll try to get over on every aspect of the ride. Okay, we're gonna get to number 9. Okay, the hotel bill is never just a hotel bill. Okay, let's look at those hotel extras. So you got laundry, bottled water, airport pickups, hotels. They add mysterious charges, okay, when you're foreign. $20 to drive you 5 minutes. They'll start with their taxi, their airport pickup. $10 to wash socks. Now, this is the worst. And I'll tell you what, this is not just Africa, but one of my pet peeves is when you have to do laundry, because they will sit here, and if you were to take it to a laundromat, they would charge you per kilo. Hotels, this is not just Africa, but this definitely is Africa, they'll try to charge you per item. So they'll say, yeah, $10 to wash the socks. Okay, meanwhile, the locals are getting the same service for a fraction of the cost. So locals will, if they were, they'll probably just have like a cleaning lady or a maid or something wash clothes, or they'll, like, if they do take it to a laundromat, right? Just hypothetically, it's per kilo. For you, they'll do it per item. And who knows, and they're just trying to get over. So you got to be really careful. And this is really more hotels in general, not just Africa. That's a pro tip, pro travel ex. That's an expat D pro travel trip there. That extends beyond Africa. All right, and here's my number 10. Okay. Okay. If someone whispers, "We can make it faster," your pockets are next. Okay. I'm talking about these special processing fees. Okay. And this one's tricky. Once you get to borders, you got government offices, or even at the airport, someone might tell you there's an extra fee, processing fee. Okay. Special service fee. A lot of times it's just a bribe dressed up in a whole suit so locals know the real fee. Okay. And that's how you get overcharged. This one's a tricky one because it depends. I've been to the airport, and this is not an African story, but I've been to the airport in Oman. I'm talking, the line was wrapped around when you have to like check in and go through customs. And they had a special line you had to pay for. The regular line might have been 2-hour wait. I would say about at least 2-hour wait in line. It was crazy. If you paid, you can get in within about maybe a 10-minute wait. So I'll be honest with you, I'd pay. When you just got off of a flight that's like hours long, depends on how far you're coming from, you don't want to spend an extra 2 hours in a line. So that's something I'd pay for. But in Africa, it's a little bit different because they're just making up stuff. You go to a border and you need some, sometimes they might charge you for nothing. So that's something that you might get Mzunga on that, and there may not be a way around that. Yeah. But anyway, here's the thing. Not everyone is trying to hustle you, but as a foreigner, you got to learn the game. In Africa, bargaining isn't rude, it's survival. And if you don't negotiate, you're going to keep paying the Mzunga tax. That's right. So those are the 10 ways foreigners get overcharged in Africa, from taxis to safaris, from SIM cards to laundry. Okay, it's all about knowing the real price. Which of these happened to you? I know if you travel, so some of this has happened to you. You almost have to pay your dues when you first go to a country. And then once you go through it, sometimes I just go through it once and I'm like, okay, that's it. If I really like a place and I want to come back, then I may research the right way to pay for everything. Sometimes it's so much stuff, they're going to get over on you on something. But it's so many things. When you travel to a place, you need transportation, you need housing, you need SIM cards, you need laundry. It's so many things that you need. You're probably not going to get everything all at once. It might be like 10, 15 different things that you might need to know the difference of the local price. Could be exchange rates, like I said, SIM cards. So they may get over on you on some stuff, and then if you really like it, then you'll research, and then you'll figure out the local price for everything. Yeah, but let me know. Yeah, if you got a wild story of being overcharged, drop in the comments. Okay, I want to hear it. All right, so if you stayed here this long in the video, thanks a lot for sticking by. If this video saved you a little bit of money, smash that like button, subscribe to Expat D, share it with your friends if you're planning a trip to Africa. Trust me, it'll save your wallet too. So until next time, stay global, stay inspired, and let's keep exploring. All right, so I'm Expat D. Thanks a lot for spending time with me. Peace and I'm out.